as a kid, your parameters are pretty small, and your parents are the thing you see as normal.
Yeah.
And until you see the rest of the world, you don't know. So I'm sure there was a time for you when your horizons expanded too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my dad was a difficult guy, but he loved comedy and he was funny. He kind of loved some pretty immature stuff.
He did?
He loved hee-haw.
He did?
Yes, he did.
So would you guys watch Hee Haw together?
We had to watch hee-haw, but I would watch hee-haw.
Do you remember when you
I
found
kind of
you could
hated
make-
it a little.
Do you remember when you found you could make your dad
And I
laugh?
kind of liked it. I could never make my dad laugh.
You're
Well, he
kidding me.
died before I got a chance to, really. He died when I was like 21 or 22. I didn't know him that well. He kind of disappeared for 5 or 7 years, and then there was a phone call, he's dying, so then we got to see him again for a couple weeks.
Oh, that's terrible.
But we never connected, really, and that was it was actually weirdly kind of a great thing to feel, because I remember when he took off, like thinking, I wonder if I didn't connect with him because I was just a kid and I was an asshole, or if it was like we would never really connect. And so when we got this call and he was dying and it was like, you come see him, I was like, well, this is great. I'm older now. I was 22. Let me see if I can talk to him. Maybe I was just a kid and maybe I can really connect with this guy. And I went and hung out with him, and I hung out with him probably 10 times, maybe. And I thought, oh yeah, okay, we're not gonna connect ever. So
Really?
at least it wasn't something I can feel bad about the rest of my life.
So
It's
you
like,
worried, you kind of took it on yourself as a kid, like
yeah,
maybe
like
it's my
maybe it
fault.
was me because I just fucking hated him for bringing so much chaos into our lives. You know what I mean? Which would be understandable, but still, maybe we could have connected. But it was a feeling of like, no, we're never gonna connect. So it's okay. We're just very different people.
So you just really weren't like your dad.
Yeah, I think that fundamentally we weren't like each other. And so that's kind of an okay thing. I mean, look, there's a lot of people who have that experience with their parents, a lot of people. But I think there's something reassuring about, as an adult, going, it wasn't me, it wasn't my childhood, we're very different people, so we're never gonna connect, and that's okay.
I do wonder if trying to be funny, trying to create something genuinely funny that resonates, I wonder who that's for.
Yeah, well, I think that you got to be careful about that. I mean, that can't be your first impetus, is I want to create something that really resonates or connects.
No, but-
I mean,
but
that is always comes after.
Right.
That's like you've got the sketch and you either are just delighted by, oh, look, there's a dimension to it that's kind of meaningful. That's neat. It's that. It's never you lead with it. And the only way it's an operative factor ever is maybe you're working on something and you're wondering sort of, where does this go?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Where does this little story go? Because that's the neat thing about David Cross. And I think what I feel like when I worked with Robert Smigel, and Smigel was really the first guy who showed me sort of the bones of a sketch and how you write it.
And that was
it
on
made
Saturday
me think
Night
about
Live,
that, yeah.
right?
But he just always, from when we were young and we were roommates back in Chicago, he just really had a great sense of the layout of a sketch and the bones of a sketch, and he would use the term core joke, with the core joke. And then David, when I went to the Ben Stiller show, wrote this sketch, TJO Pooter Toots. It was a story. It was like this little mini story. It was a parody, but it was more like that he had gotten story into a sketch. It worked as a sketch. It worked in a 6-minute increment or 4 or 5 minute, whatever it was. And it worked as a sketch, but it had a little story to it. It had more story than I'm used to seeing. And I thought, wow, that's neat. You can get story into these things too. That can work too. So that's the kind of thing that where you go like, maybe in the course of writing you go like, where does this thing go? And then you kind of look at it and say, well, what's really happening here? What's the kind of operative human behavior going on?
Right.
And then that leads you to a build. But beyond that, I mean, just try to be funny. That's the job.